Hello and welcome back to Kill a Bit of Time. Today we're going to be talking about marshmallows, a little bit about gypsies, you know how it is, how to get a free pint, how shit fates are when you're sober, and the history of the humble coconut. So sit back, relax and enjoy my ramblings on episode 4. Well, episode 4, we made it. I'm glad we're here, I'm glad I'm here, glad you're here. I've taken inspiration today from a packet of Ricola Swiss Alpine Herb throat lozenges, alright? And it's got quite a few ingredients in there. And I was thinking about casting these ingredients as names and a little story about stealing a kebab, which may or may not be true. But anyway, they've got some ingredients in here, some of which I've heard of, some I haven't. We've got peppermint, eldar, cowslip, never heard of that. Plantain, yeah. Yarrow, yeah, that rings a bell, some sort of medicinal herb. Burnet, and then marshmallow. Marshmallow? I never knew marshmallow was a fucking plant. But it sort of makes sense in a way, because there's another plant called a mallow. And this is just a mallow that grows in marshland. It's a mallow of the marsh. It's a marshmallow. It's a little plant. It's got pink flowers, where I'm guessing they got the idea for the colour of marshmallows, because they're pink as well. And after looking at it, the colour is about as far as it goes in terms of the similarities between the confectionery and the herbal plant. It's a type of herbaceous perennial, which means it blooms in the spring and summer and then dies back in autumn, winter, and then it comes back year after year. The Egyptians mixed it with honey and used it for sore throats. So it's earned its place on my packet of fucking cough drops, just from that, if you ask me. It also contains something called asparagine, which is a type of amino acid which helps brain development and protein synthesis. Marshmallow, the plant. Who knew? So it's way better than the fucking sweet. The sweet contains sugar, water, and gelatin. It's a fucking con. Not to mention the fact that it's 50% fucking air. It's every time you buy a marshmallow, you're buying 50% air. There's loads of foods out there that are trying to con you with air. Mr. Whippy. That's like 30% air, did you know? But the soft ice cream goes back to when they were selling gelato in Italy, and they ran out of ice or whatever. And the ice cream started melting, and everyone just went mad for it. They preferred it when it was like half melted to the original. So that's where it started. And then Mr. Whippy got his fucking hands on it, pumped it full of air, and sold it to the masses, rubbing his fucking little hands together. But it's not the only food full of air, is it? Got rice cakes, meringue, fucking quavers. There's loads of people at it, you know what I mean? It's not good enough. We're just being conditioned to think that's all right. They go, oh yeah, but it's nice, isn't it? Well, imagine it like this. Imagine if a load of aid went to Gaza, turned up. They opened the fucking truck, and there's a load of marshmallows and fucking quavers and meringue. No, they don't want that. They want rice, innit? Know what I mean? That's proper food, not that shit. But I had a little look on Amazon to see if I could find some air for sale, and disappointingly, I couldn't find any. I could only find those dusters, air dusters for your keyboard and that are fucking people up. You see people addicted to those. You see videos of people just walking around, just huffing on air dusters. But anyway, checked eBay out. Good old eBay, never fails. I found some Scottish Highland air for sale on there. £11.22, plus £3.35 delivery charge. And I just thought, at least they're honest. At least they're being honest about it. It's going, look, we've got some air for sale. Do you want it? Not like the supermarket, sneaking air into confectionery. You know what I mean? They're just annoyed because it's the only thing left that they can't sell to us, because we can just inhale for free. Imagine that, a quid. There's a quid. But they've managed to put it into our food instead. So watch out for that one. Watch out for their sneaky little fuckers there. They're always trying to find new and innovative ways to scam us and put more money in their fucking pockets. There was a scandal not long ago where they got found out for they had a load of meat going off, and obviously any wastage they have is going to affect the cost, which is going to affect their bottom line, isn't it? So they don't want to waste anything. So they had a load of rotting meat, and what they did was they mixed it in with a load of fresh meat, and as well as that, they mixed in this stuff called myoglobin, which is the stuff in meat that makes it look red. It's the stuff in blood that makes blood look red. So they got a load of rotten meat they didn't want to waste, mixed it with a load of fresh meat and a load of myoglobin, and then sold it back to us. They just don't give a fuck. And bad meat, rotten meat, it can be just so full of bacteria that if you're like really young or really old, it could kill you if you get ill from that, because the amount of bacteria in there. And cooking meat or cooking food does destroy most bacteria, but that's where the misconception comes in, because it's not just the bacteria. The bacteria produce toxins, and the more bacteria there's going to be in there, the more toxins there are going to be. And you don't destroy the toxins by cooking it. And it's the toxins that fuck you up. But I went through years and years without getting that ill at all. But then since having a kid, the kid gets bugs from nursery and then brings them home. And recently she had a bad one. We were out camping and she went down with this bug, and she couldn't keep anything down, not even water. And it was really hot. And we were like, right, this is not good news, because she's not keeping water down. And if, we're just worried about her getting dehydrated. So we took her to hospital. And then we had to, I think it's every minute or every 2 minutes, we had to like give her 2 or 3 ml of apple juice, just like syringed into her mouth for her to swallow tiny little bits and like drip feed it into her gradually over the space of like 3 or 4 hours. That was a long fucking night. But anyway, I picked up that bug and then I fucking had it and it ravaged me. I was out. And usually I'll go to work. If I'm ill, I will still go to work. But this really knocked me for six, and there was no chance I couldn't get in. There was no way. But yeah, food poisoning or bugs and stuff from food and toxins, it is real and it can be dangerous. So watch out. But the industry doesn't give a fuck. Don't listen to their safety regulations and stuff like that. At the end of the day, they're looking after their profit margin. Yeah, so be careful what you fucking eat, because they're sneaky little cunts. But anyway, as that section was sort of about industry scamming us, the next feature is going to be about how we can scam them back. And the jingle for this feature is as follows. Cheat the system. Cunts. No, cheat the system. First rendition of this feature is going to be about cheating the system. Because if we're getting scammed all the time, surely it's only right that we do a bit of scamming ourselves. You know what I mean? Legally. And so the first bit I'm going to do about gambling. Gambling. Is there any little hacks? Well, I've thought of a couple in life that you may or may not want to do. I don't know if it's allowed or not, but I think they're above board, to be fair. And the first one is roulette. And first of all, let me start by saying I haven't had the best experience of casinos in my life. I never come out on top. I always come out with less money than I went in with. The house always wins. That's something that you can sort of guarantee. I don't understand why people gamble. It's obvious that betting shops and casinos and things wouldn't exist unless they were making money. So why the fuck would you go there? Because you're just paying them to take your money. It's weird. I don't get it. There's no way you can. Everyone thinks, oh, I'm on a winner here. I've sussed it. I've worked it out. I know how it works. I know how the horse racing works. I know how no, you don't. Betfred knows how it works. Bet365 knows how it works. Yeah, the bookies, they know how it fucking works. You don't. They're the ones who are fucking taking home a salary at the end of the day. But saying that, when I was in the casino, I thought of a little sneaky little ways it might work with the real roulette. So the first one is, if you always bet on is it either black or red, and then you double your bet every single time if you lose, then eventually you'll win and you'll get ahead, don't you? So for example, if I put £1 on red, right, and win, fine, awesome, I've doubled my money, I've got £2. If I put £1 on red and I lose, I'll just double it. So I've lost £1, but now I'm putting £2 more on. You know what I mean? So then if I win, I get £4, so I'm still £1 ahead. But if I lost for a second time, I'll double my bet again and put £4 down, right? And then if I won that time, I'd get £8 back. But if I didn't, I'll just double it and put the bet as £8. And I'll just keep doubling it when you lose. And eventually, you'll be £1 ahead. And if you just keep doing that, I mean, it's going to be slow progress, but that's a surefire way. And you need to have a lot of capital, because if you lose like 10 times, I think you're going to need like thousands of pounds to manage to do that. But it works. You can't deny the fucking maths there. The other way I thought that you can definitely win the roulette is, what can you guarantee? What can you absolute guarantee is a fucking certain in a casino? And that is that the house always wins. That's something that is just, nobody can argue with that. They wouldn't exist unless they were making money. So, by that logic, if the house always wins, you just bet in the favour of the house. So, for example, if someone puts £100 on red, yeah, some random, there's loads of people standing around a table, some chancer puts £100 on red. Now you put £50 on black. Right? The chances are that they're going to lose if the house always wins. Otherwise, they'd be out of pocket all the time, wouldn't they? And yeah, you might lose the odd one. But eventually, if you keep at it all day long and you keep betting in favour of the house and against people who've put more money down than you, then you're just going to win, surely, by the fucking logic of the house always wins. So that was my other little strategy. I haven't tried it out. And neither should you, because gambling is addictive. All right. Another little hack that I've heard about, right? My mate Jimmy told me about this one. When I was trawling around New Zealand, working on apple orchards, this northern lad called Jimmy, he told me what the gypsies do in the dog racing. And what they'll do is they'll get like a really good top tier race dog, greyhound or whatever they are, from Ireland. Like he's winning every race. He's a fucking belter. It's like a sure fucking 5'8". He's going to be in the top 3. And what they do is they buy him, right? They take him to England, change his name, fatten him up. They fucking feed him up so he's overweight. Enter him into a few races in England under a new name, which he's obviously going to lose in. He's going to do shit. He's going to come last all the time because he's fat. And then once he's got shit odds, like fucking 200 to 1, that cunt ain't winning. Then they train him up because they know he's got potential. He loses the weight. They fucking enter him into the next race, fucking put loads of money on him because they know he's going to win. I thought that was quite an ingenious little way. So there's another little hack for you if you fancy investing in greyhounds from Ireland. Yeah, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's one for your back pocket and all. But they are a strange breed, aren't they, the gypsies? And they do get a lot of flack as well. They're probably the only sort of like race of people who get discriminated against openly in society. They're like bouncers go, oh, don't let them in. Gypsies. Or some holiday parks, they go, oh, no, we don't let gypsies in. Imagine if that was any other race of people. It wouldn't be tolerated. But because it's gypsies, like travelling folk, it's sort of like just commonly accepted to go, yeah, don't let bloody gypsies. And you see it all the time. People go, oi, oi, look over there. You go, what? Gypsies. You can tell. And to be fair, you can tell. They do have a certain look. Like you can set them apart from the crowd. But so can you every other type of race of people. But for some reason, gypsies, you go, oi, oi, careful. Gypsies are about. You hear it all the time when you're in town. They go, oi, oi, have you heard? What? There's gypsies about. Oh, really? And everyone gets well on edge about it. I don't know why. I think it's because people have built up that sort of stereotypical image of your average gypsy. You know what I mean? Like white tank top, slick back hair, gold chain, gold watch, sort of shifty little look in her eye. You know what I mean? Kids in those prams with the big wheels, and then like the little boys with like the fucking gold signet rings, slick back hair, just like a mini version of their dads. Yeah, setting out a mat with like 10 different fucking types of drill that they've nicked out of a van. That's what the stereotype is built up. And I'm sure some people are like that. I'm sure there are gypsies out there like that. But that's not to say they're all like that. You get travelling people from all over the fucking country. Ireland, fucking up north, everywhere. They're not all going to be like that. That's like saying all white people are Catholic paedophiles and work in the BBC. But anyway, I've only had one run-in with the gypsies, really. And that's when I was back in Silverstone, where I grew up, in the pub. And I think I was about 19, 20, that sort of age. And we were all getting pissed. And I went to the toilet. And for some reason, there was like a whole roll of toilet roll in the urinal. And I just, because I was pissed, just started pissing onto it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Anyway, the guy standing next to me sort of grumbled at me about it. And I was like, fuck off. Anyway, it turned out he was a gypsy. And I left the toilet before he did. And when I went and sat down outside, he fucking came straight up to me, started gobbing off. And because I was pissed and I had a fucking bit of confidence in me, I fucking stood up and squared up to him. Something I would never usually do if I was sober. But because I had a few drinks under my skin, I thought I was fucking Conor McGregor. But anyway, I fucking squared up to him. And then there was a bit of pushing and shoving started. My mate sort of like got involved, trying to sort of just protect me or just like resolve the situation. I don't know what. He got punched. And then I got punched. And anyway, one thing led to another. And before I knew it, this guy, he grabbed my fucking head and then just bit down onto my nose. It turned out it was a gypsy. I found out later on. But anyway, this gypsy bit my fucking nose. Anyway, it got infected and stuff. I had to go to the doctors and get antibiotics. But the thing is, it's a good move, because when you've got someone latched onto the end of your nose, there's fucking nothing you can do but scream. Because what are you going to do? You can't push them off you. What if they fucking take the end of your nose off? They're clamped onto your nose. You're theirs. There's nothing you can do. You belong to them now. You know what I mean? There's fuck all you can do about it. Especially when you're like panicking. Like, what are you going to do? Like, it doesn't usually happen to a man. So you're sort of a little bit like, this is new. What the fuck am I going to do? And before you know it, it's over. And you've just got a fucking sore nose. And you're like, what the fuck has just happened? But yeah, don't fuck with them. Because they'll have you. They'll fucking have you. But anyway, talking about pubs, right, and how we can like hack the system or cheat the system, whatever. Have you ever seen in a pub that game or that little test, and it's like a pint of water with a lemon floating in it, and then it says, if you can balance a coin on top of this lemon, you get a free pint. Well, let me tell you now, this is how you fucking beat that little puzzle, okay? Because it says the rules are you're not allowed to touch the lemon. And you go, fine. So what you do is you fucking pick up the glass, drink all the water, fucking down it, then the lemon's down in the bottom of the glass. You put your coin on top of the lemon and you win. Enjoy your free pint. You just got to drink a pint of grim fucking water first. But if you're skint, then there you go. You know what I mean? But I've seen people drink worse than that anyway. I was at this bloke called Mitch, yeah? It's his birthday. We're in Northampton, and we're just drinking in the park next to the Avon River, is it? River Avon or something like that. Anyway, this river's fucking disgusting. It's right outside the Carlsberg factory, so you can only imagine what sort of shit's going into it. And it's in Northampton anyway. There's going to be rats swimming around in there and fucking God knows what else. Anyway, it came up, but because it's your birthday, you have to do a dirty pint. You know what I mean? That's a classic thing. And then we were like, right, on this occasion, your dirty pint is a pint of that river water over there. And to be fair to him, he fucking did it. He downed that pint. And thinking back on it, it is like quite dangerous actually. You can get all sorts of random fucking diseases from rats and stuff. You can get Weil's disease. Leptospirosis is the scientific name. But Weil's disease is pretty shit. It's like you get sickness, you get headaches, like swollen eyes. It's fucking horrible, dirty fucking horrible disease. It doesn't kill you, but it fucks you up for a while. And then you've got someone else you can catch from rats called hantavirus. That's a bit worse. And it's sort of similar symptoms to Weil's disease, apart from it silently fucks your kidneys. So you might think you've just got like a really bad fucking coldy, flu type symptoms and sickness. And in the background, your kidneys are getting fucked up. And then you can become cured. You get over that virus eventually, and you might not even know it, but you've got fucking kidney damage. And you might not know until later on in life when you start getting fucking kidney failure. And it's because of a fucking virus you had about 20 years ago. So that's fucking horrible. So, yeah. And there's someone else you can get called rat's lung worm disease. Okay. I don't know if you can get that from the rivers. It's just another disease you can get from a fucking rat. And what happens is the rats, it's a disease that lives in a rat. And what happens is the slugs eat the rat shit, right? And then the rats eat the slug again. It's a fucking parasite. And the parasite, to complete its loop, it sort of like it has to lay its larvae in the slugs. And then the rats eat the slug, and then the larvae hatch again into the parasite, and the cycle just goes round and around and around. There was one case where this bloke ate a slug as a dare in Australia, and he fucking got paralysed because he ate a slug. The slug had rat lung worm disease, and then the parasite fucked up his spine. It like wrapped around his fucking spine, fucked up his spinal cord somehow, and he got paralysed from eating the slug. So you've got to stay away from them little fuckers. But it made me think, like, I used to, back when I was a kid, I think I was about like 10 or 12, and I had another mate who was about a similar age, and he had a younger brother called Ellis, right? And we used to go out and play in the garden, and one of the things we used to do was just to feed this kid worms. He was about 2 years old, and I didn't think there was anything wrong with it at the time. I just thought it was fucking hilarious. And we used to feed him tons of worms, like one after the other. We used to spend our afternoon hunting around the garden for worms and then just feeding it to the 2-year-old kid. It's quite bad when you look back on it. And then he used to proper like slurp him up, rub his belly and go, I remember it clearly. And so that could have been dodgy. But I think worms are less dodgy than slugs because worms aren't eating shit, are they? They're eating like nice soil and things like that. But if I did find a slug, we would have fed it to him, guaranteed. He's just lucky we didn't. We were just on the lookout for worms at that time. So he's lucky, really. But there's someone else you can get as well. Now we're on the topic, called toxoplasma. It's what, if you've ever watched Train Spotting, I've spoken about it before. It's what that bloke got who died. He got toxoplasma and he got it from cat shit because his flat was a mess. The cat shat everywhere because he was always smacked out his eyeballs, and he got infected with toxoplasma. And that is similar to the rat lung worm disease, where it's like as a parasite doing a little cycle. But the difference is it lives in a cat. The parasite lives in a cat. The cat shits, and then the rat eats the cat shit. But the weird thing about the toxoplasma is that it fucks with the rat or mouse's brain. It gets into their brain and hijacks their fucking brain, and it makes them walk around in circles, and it removes their fear. It makes them not fear cats anymore, so they're easy for the cats to catch. So the parasite is going, I need to get back into that cat. I've laid my larvae in this lovely little mouse, and now I need to get eaten by that cat so I can evolve into my next fucking complete the loop. And what they do is they fuck with the fucking rat's brain, making it walk in circles, taking its fear away. How does it know how to do that? It's mad, isn't it? But anyway, that's another little madness. But anyway, that's enough about parasites for one fucking day. And that completes my section. I don't know how the fuck we started on that. Oh yeah, cheat the system. That's it for cheat the system for one day. We're going to move swiftly on, and we're going to dither on over to the next feature, which I'm going to call Addiction Fiction. Addiction Fiction, first installment. And the addiction that I'm calling out as bullshit today is the addiction to plastic surgery. I was watching a program the other day, and the person was going, I'm just addicted to it. I'm just addicted to plastic surgery. No, you're not. You're addicted to the anaesthetic. You're addicted to the post-op medication that they give you. You're addicted to the Valium. Yeah? You're not addicted to fucking operations. You're addicted to the drugs, just like everybody else. You don't even realise it. You think that it's one thing, it's actually not. You think, that was bloody good, that. It must have been the knife going under my skin that I'm really addicted to. No, you're not. It's the fucking chemicals. But anyway, they are addictive. I remember I had some Valium once a long time ago, and I think I had about 10 or 15, got off some bloke. And all they do is, well, for me, they just sort of knock you out. But it's the best sort of sleep you've ever had in any life, and you can't really figure out why. It was just good, even though you don't remember it. And what happened with me was, it was quite scary because all of a sudden, like 2 days had gone, and what my partner said I was doing was, as soon as I'd sort of come to, I would just take another Valium and then just drift back off. And I just did that for a solid 2 days. And I don't really remember any of it. I was just taking Valium for 2 days. And I don't remember a fucking thing. So they are dodgy. You got to be careful with them if you are prescribed or whatever. And I heard another story about this kid who went traveling to Thailand. He was only young. I think he was like 20 years old or something like that. And he was around Thailand. And in Thailand and other parts of Southeast Asia, you go on these bus rides to wherever you're going. And if you're traveling, sometimes these journeys can be quite long and horrible, cramped, stiflingly hot, humid, just awful conditions. So this guy's idea was to buy some Valium, which you can get from the pharmacy over there. Anyway, he bought some Valium, and his plan was to just take some, knock himself out, and wake up when you get there. But he had too many, and he died. He fucking died on that bus, which it's just a tragic story because he only wanted to get to his destination without feeling uncomfortable. You know what I mean? But cosmetic surgery is something that can lead to opioid addiction. It commonly leads to that because it's not governed by the same regulations that other areas of medicine are. For example, in hospitals, they tend to space out, if you need several operations, they'll tend to space them out for that reason, because they don't want people to become dependent on any medication. They don't want people going under regular anesthetic because it's not good for you. But with cosmetic surgery, it's not governed under the same regulations, so people can have as many fucking operations as they want. They can go back as many times as they damn well please, which means more anesthetic, more post-op meds, which is really what they're addicted to. It's not the plastic surgery at all. But I've got a big distrust for the pharmaceutical industry anyway, because they profit from people being ill. So people or the human race being fit and healthy is not in their interest, and that as a model shouldn't exist, should it? You know what I mean? That they profit off of people's illness. It's not in their interest to cure diseases. It's in their interest to treat them. Why would they cure something if they're making money off of providing medication for an existing condition? They wouldn't, would they? So I think that there's a lot of conspiracy around the pharmaceutical industry and what they do and their devious little plans. And I reckon, there's got to be some truth to it, because it's business at the end of the day. They're a fucking business, and they're there to make money. And if that means keeping people sick, then I reckon there's enough people with enough money in their pockets pulling enough strings to be able to make that happen. That's my personal opinion on it. Might be right, might be wrong. And it's caused me a little bit of stress and anxiety with my little girl who's going up to have her vaccines. We ended up going for it in the end. But I personally, me and my partner, didn't take the COVID vaccine. Not because we're anti-vaxxers and fucking conspiracy theorists. It's because we just didn't feel like we needed it. And it was weird, like when COVID was going on and we said to people, oh yeah, we didn't get the vaccine. They'll go, oh, and stand back. It's like, what doesn't mean I'm ill. In fact, you can have the vaccine and still get fucking COVID. It makes no difference, really. I think, obviously, it does work to a degree, because I doubt they could get through all the red tape necessary to be able to produce a vaccine that does nothing. It must work. But I think they have hidden some of the health effects, or not disclosed the fact that they don't know what the long-term effects may be. But anyway, we didn't get it, and I'm perfectly happy with that. If I was about 70 or 80, it'd be a different story. I probably would have got it, because the risk of getting ill and dying would have outweighed the risk of a long-term health issue, because I aren't going to have any long-term health issues at the age of 70. You're not going to live long-term. You're not going to be around when you're 130 to find out. So if I was at that age, I would have taken it. But anyway, it came up about vaccines, general vaccines, and immunisations for my little girl. And I think they have them at the age of like 1 month. Is it 1 month? No. She's had 3 sets so far. Right. And I was looking into all like the names of them online and going, when was it invented? Because the ones that I'm 36, the ones that I had when I was little aren't the same as the ones that they're getting now. So it's not as if you can turn around and go, well, we're all right, so they must be all right. Yeah, but we took different vaccines. A lot of them have changed. Some of them, I was looking into them, some of them only came out in like 2004. Some of them were 2010. So it's all changed, some of them. I think some of them are still the same, like the MMR one and something else. But I was looking into all of them, and then I was like, well, I'm not seeing any evidence online about any risks. But then would you? Would you? Because Google is just part of the fucking system as well, isn't it? If there was big issues with vaccines that if everyone knew about would put people off getting them, therefore have a knock-on effect to the pharmaceutical industry's profit, then Google would be on board with it as well, wouldn't it? And it wouldn't display that information. So it was just a bit of a fruitless task. I was like, this is pointless me even looking into it, because if I am right and there is conspiracy, then Google's going to be in on it as well. So there's no fucking point asking them either. So I just had to go with my gut instinct at the end of the day. And I've spoken to enough people to realise that I just didn't want to take the risk. Like measles is on an all-time high now. And that is partly because of a lot of people not giving their kids vaccines and things like that. And I didn't want my kid to get measles because I was worried about vaccinations and my own paranoia about it all. I could just be totally wrong about the whole thing. So I just went with my gut instinct and we went with the immunisations. And that was just how I felt. That's what I felt was the right thing to do as a father. I might have been wrong in doing it. I might have been right. But sometimes you just don't know what the right thing to do. You just have to go with your gut instinct. At the end of the day, I trust the UK regulations a lot less than the European ones, because we're in bed with America now, really, aren't we? They're like a more evolved form of the evil species of the pharma industry, aren't they? Because they've got the whole health insurance system where there's a chip and pin machine next to your hospital bed, and they charge you if a mother gives birth to their baby. It's all on a tab. And if you want skin-on-skin contact after the birth, they even put that on the fucking bill. It says skin-on-skin contact, $50, whatever it is. It's mad. So yeah, and now we're in bed with the USA. I just think like I just trust the UK's med regs a lot less. I would have trusted it more when we were in the EU, to be honest. But anyway, on that topic, someone I know did a drug trial recently for a pharma company, which I don't really agree with, to be honest. It's like each to their own. You can do what you want. It's your own body. But I just don't agree with doing drug trials for industries, because it's like your body is your own little thing, isn't it? It's yours. And I don't like the thought of selling. It's like selling your body to industry. They can use your body and give you money for it. It's one step away from prostitution in my eyes. You know what I mean? It's just a bit like that. Like, I'm selling you, you can use my body in exchange for money. It's that concept that I don't get on board with. I don't like that. If it was doing a paper round or some leafleting for a pharmaceutical company, I'll be more inclined to do that than let them just inject some chemical into me. But yeah, I knew this other guy, actually, this German fella who did it a couple of times. He did it once in Germany and he did it once in Australia, and he got a couple of grand each time he did it, I think. So maybe it is all right, and it's just me casting my own opinions and aspersions onto other people, and it's actually all right. I'm sure it's heavily regulated. I'm sure it's safe. So maybe it's just my own personal thing, and I should just let others be. A little bit like when you see other people and you sort of like judge their parenting. I've noticed myself, I'm a lot more judgmental these days when I see other people with their kids. I heard about someone giving their kid tea in a bottle. And I was like, you shouldn't do that. It's got caffeine in it. It's not good for him. Like, sort of like shaking my little head. Or I seen someone at nursery the other day giving kid white bread with margarine on it. And I was thinking, oh, well, I wouldn't give my little girl white bread and margarine. Little fact about margarine, it's actually grey. They make it look yellow. In real life, it's that vegetable spread stuff, that vegetable oil spread. It's actually fucking grey. They make it look yellow. Anyway, that pretty much sums up today's feature of addiction fiction. So before you pop on down to your local plastic surgeon, try popping a couple of paracetamol first. See if that takes the edge off. If you've got a headache, use medicine responsibly. Right, next we're going to move on to my experience with the fucking fate. Are fates good or are they shite? Well, let's find out. You're telling me I won a fucking coconut? Piss off, you daft bastard. Fates. I went to a fete recently. But first of all, what is it? A fete, the word comes from medieval Latin, meaning festival, and it developed into an old French word. It was festa, which also meant festival. And it's a public function, typically held outdoors, organised usually to raise funds for charity and things like that. And it has stuff like entertainment, sort of the sale of like crafty type goods. Like there's a woman making a little wicker chair at the last one I went to. They have refreshments, tombola, little activities, some form of the sale of alcohol, some form of food. So it's a little bit like that. It's like an outdoor event, usually in the summer, usually in like church like sort of yards, or little like communal sort of areas in the village. I went to one recently, and I've relatively recently given up alcohol. And every time I've gone to a fete in the past, I've always had a pretty good time. I was like, someone said, do you want to go to the fete? I was like, yeah, I'll go to the fete. I'm not drinking, but how important could alcohol be at a fete? And I didn't realise until I went to this fete, sober, how shit they are. I've always had a great time at fetes. I went to a fete in Wincham in Somerset, and that was a rubbish fete. But I had a great time. because I was having a few bevies. But this fete, I was like, right, I'll go to this fete. I won't drink, of course, because I'm on my little, dry spell. See how it's going. I'm doing quite well. I'm enjoying it. And disappointed. It was just rubbish. Walked around. Didn't take long to walk around. I was hoping the walk around would take longer than it did. It took about 20 minutes to walk around the whole fucking thing. There was a kid there selling blocks of fudge. He sounded a lot older than he looked. He sort of acted a lot older than he looked. I walked past him. I paid a bit of interest to the stall because I'm into my fudge at the minute. And he seen I paid a little bit of interest. And he was like, right, mate. I was like, yeah, not too bad. He went, got interest you in any of these? It's £3 for 100 grams. And I was like, and 300 for 100 grams is a bit steep. When you see 100 grams of fudge compressed into a fucking cube, it's not that much. So I was secretly thinking, no way. But obviously, I was being polite. So I said, no, I'll do the loop. I'll come back and I'll have a look in a bit. And he was like, he didn't really like that answer. So he went, do you want to try a bit? And I was like, yeah, all right then. I never pass up on a bit of free sample. You know what I mean? And he offered me, he was like, what you got? And then he went through different flavours. And he was talking like a 40-year-old Cockney marketeer. And I was like, fucking hell. And I tried a bit of the salted caramel fudge, and it was fucking delicious. But I was like, I'm not, out of principle, I'm not paying £3 for 100 grams of fudge. But anyway, so we moved on, went around. Like I say, it didn't take as long. Went past the cider tent. That was reasonably priced, irritatingly. I was like, oh, that's not too bad. It was like £4 for a big bottle of lovely local cider. And yeah, it looked all right. It would have been good. They had medium, sweet and dry. You know the business. I was like, oh, I'd love to have one of them right now. But no, I'm being good. Went past the little pizza place. Anyway, did the loop, back round to the hay bales where the entertainment was on, which was pretty shit. There was some bloke playing guitar, and he kept like stopping and speaking in between. And I was like, do you keep doing that because you're forgetting the lyrics? Or are you doing it on purpose? Because it's actually really annoying. Just do the song. Stop stopping and like thinking you're a showman. You're not. Just play the fucking music. And what else did they have? They had a choir that came on. That was sponsored by a gay club, which I thought was a bit weird. They all had T-shirts on that said "The Closet," sponsored by The Closet, which is a gay club in Weymouth. And I just thought it was a bit weird because that's a lot. If you go out in Weymouth, you tend to end up at The Closet because it's the only place open till like 4:00 in the morning. Everywhere else closes. So everyone just ends up at the gay bar, and it's mental in there. So it was just bizarre to me how they sponsored the local fucking choir where there's nobody in it under the age of 60. And what else do they have? They had some Morris dancers come on. They had the tombola, of course, with the shittest prizes known to man. The tombola, they had a load of jars so you could see what you could potentially win. And in some of those jars, it was like scouring pads and sponges. It was like someone had gone around the house and gone, right, I'm just picking up bits of shit to stick it in a jar and taking it down to the local tombola. And I was thinking, well, I'm not going to ticket for that. And then, like I said, there was a woman just making wicker chairs in the corner, a little stall just making wicker chairs. Nobody was coming up talking to her. You could see it was boring from a distance, let alone getting close. And then, of course, the coconut toss, which is always the best bit for me. I was like, oh, thank God they got a coconut toss because that's the bit that I look forward to. You know what I mean? So I went over to the coconut toss, £2 for 3 wooden balls. I was like, right, I'll get 6 balls, please, because I like to win. I don't want to fail the coconut toss. And I went up there, and there was a yellow line that was about 2 meters away from the coconuts on the poles. And I was like, oh, I can't stand on that. That's clearly the line for kids. If I stand 2 meters away from the coconuts and start pelting them, I could pretty much reach half the way. I'm going to look like a knobhead. So I was like, I'll stand back a bit. And I stood back about another 2 meters. And my first 3 balls failed. And then, embarrassingly, I was like, I'm going to have to step to the line now. I'm going to have to step up to the line because I've failed with my first 3 balls. No, it's not fair. So I went up to the line. And I managed to get a coconut with my last 3 balls. One of them was a great success. Anyway, I got me coconut and I went over to my missus, right, who was speaking to her cousin who had a kid. And annoyingly, her kid I had 4 fucking coconuts. So I wasn't even as good as him. So that annoyed me. And so I was just walking around just thinking, this is a bit of shit. But it just got me thinking about the old coconut toss. And I was like, it's a bit of a weird game, isn't it? Like, where did that come from? Why are we sticking coconuts on poles and just chucking wooden balls at them? And apparently, it originated back in the late 1800s when coconuts were seen as like an exotic kind of prize. Like pineapples were back in the day. Pineapples used to be like rare and exotic fruit. And coconuts was the same. So if you win a coconut, it's like, yeah, it's good. It's a good prize. The earliest known example of the coconut toss I could find was in 1867, Kingston upon Thames, Pleasure Fair. And they still have fairs there today. They're just called fun fairs. But back then they were called pleasure fairs. And they still are, but now they're called fun fairs, as everyone knows. And the weird thing is that pleasure fair on Kingston upon Thames wasn't far off. It was quite close to a coconut fibre mill nearby. So the game came into existence just by chance that there was a coconut mill down the road. So obviously they were like, right, we need to come up with a game. They were like, right, I've got these coconuts from down the road. Should we stick them on poles and chuck fucking wooden balls at them? They were like, yeah, that's a great idea. So that's how it came about. And interestingly, that's where the game Aunt Sally come from. And anyone who doesn't know what Aunt Sally is and has never heard of Aunt Sally, it's a pub game that involves chucking wooden sticks that are about a foot long. They weigh about a kilo. And then you just launch them down this little alley sort of thing, this little makeshift alley at this wooden sort of ball on top of a pole, just like the coconut thing. You just launch it down there. You get 3 sticks a go or whatever. And this game, you'll find it around Oxfordshire, Northamptonshire, Buckinghamshire, that sort of area. And it's good. I used to love that as a kid. I have fond memories of sitting in a pub garden, right? Packet of salt and vinegar crisps, Panda Pop, Aunt Sally. It was good. But the weird thing is, in pubs around England, you get these games. Like, that's the game you get there. But in Somerset, you get a different game called Cheeses. And it's like these wooden sort of discs that resemble wheels of cheese, right? Not that big. And they come in different weights. And then you launch them at these wooden Skittles on this table. And so it's like Skittles, apart from you launch like these wooden cheeses. That's what you get around Somerset. And then where I live now in Dorset, it's Skittles. You get wooden balls, big wooden balls, and you launch them down an alley. It's just like bowling, apart from like a rudimentary type version of it. And it's just weird. It's big round here. You get like Skittles teams having competitions and stuff like that. They make a big deal out of it. It's just weird. You get like different types of pub games around the country, and it's all based on chucking a wooden block at something else made of wood. That's the basis of all of them, it seems. So that was where Aunt Sally came from, chucking the old coconut game from Pleasure Fair. But there is another theory, and that was that they used to fix a chicken somehow to a pole, and they used to chuck wooden sticks at the chicken, and then whoever killed the chicken won the chicken. They could take it home for dinner. I read that, and I'm not sure about the truth of that really, because first of all, would you want a battered up chicken that's been battered the shit out of? It's all going to be mashed up, isn't it? That was my first thought. Because my dad when we used to live in the Midlands, there's loads of muntjac deer around there. And every now and then you'd see one that's been hit on the side of the road. And he always used to stop and pick it up, chuck it in the boot, take it home, and cut it up. And we'd have like stew out of it and stuff. And this weird thing is as well, if you hit a deer, you're legally not allowed to pick it up, but the person behind you can. That's a weird little law. But anyway, one of the times he picked up one of these deers and he took it home, and I was like, "Oh, we having deer then, are we? We have venison." And he's like, "No. Well, why not?" He's like, "Oh, it was too smashed up." He said it was smashed up. There's like bits of bone, all just like smashed up and mixed in with the meat. Like he cut it open and it was just smashed up. So we couldn't have it. And I imagine that's what it might be. It might have been like with a chicken. If you're launching fucking kilogram sticks at a chicken time and time again, it's gonna be battered to fuck, innit? But then again, I did think birds, they are quite delicate, aren't they? So maybe, it wouldn't take that much to kill a chicken. If you could kill a chicken with one go, probably, if you hit it right. I'm not suggesting that anyone goes around chucking kilogram fucking bits of wood at chickens, but if you did, I reckon you could do it with one stick. It wouldn't take much to kill. It reminded me of when I was in New Zealand, right? And I don't advocate the cruelty to animals in any way. I hate cruelty to animals. It winds me up. I think you sick fucks when I hear or see or think about people being cruel to animals. I don't like it. It's sickening. Even if there's a spider in the house, I'm like, don't kill it. They're good. They're good spiders. They keep the flies down, especially when it's hot at the minute. Flies are pissing me right off when we're trying to have a nap and a fly lands on your lip. Nothing more aggravating, especially as you're just about to drift off. You only get a few opportunities of that when you're just on the edge of falling asleep. If someone ruins it, you can't nap after that. So if a fly comes and ruins my nap, me and nature start to have a bit of beef then. You know what I mean? But anyway, so yeah, let the spiders be, in my opinion, in house. They're not causing any harm. Unless you're in Australia. And then obviously, I think in that situation, I think you've got the right to kill a spider because they might kill or injure or harm you. Not necessarily redbacks. There's a big misconception in Australia that spiders are super fucking dangerous. Watch out for them. And it's true, but I don't think anyone's died from a spider bite since like the 80s or something like that in Australia. I might be wrong. That's just a little fact that I remember. Because people know to fucking watch out. Also, the redbacks. You can get stung by redbacks as an adult human, and it's poisonous, but it probably won't kill you. It's more likely to kill you if you're really young or really old. Then the venom can be lethal in certain sort of situations. But I knew someone who worked on houses in Australia, and a lot of the houses in Australia are built on like this sort of like on these little stilts, and then they're covered up, so the house is sort of raised up a bit, so you get this like crawl space under the house, and he had to do work under houses doing plumbing or whatever it might be. And he's like, yeah, I get bitten by them all the fucking time. He's got bitten by redbacks loads of times, and he's like, it doesn't kill you, it just hurts, and it might make you feel a bit odd. But the ones you want to watch out for in Australia are the funnel webs, the Sydney funnel webs. They're the ones that will fuck you up. I stayed on a campsite once, and they're like, yeah, make sure you zip your tents up tight because they've been seen roaming around, and they usually keep themselves to themselves. They're not out to get anyone. They're just looking after their little area, aren't they? But they do roam about sometimes if they want a mate or whatever. So you just got to watch out. Don't stand on them. It's tricky, but I don't think it's as bad as people make out in Australia. It's the same with snakes. The snakes want to stay the fuck away from you. They're not like slithering after you. They're trying to stay away. You don't really see any snakes or spiders unless you're looking for them actively. That's a big myth. But anyway, back to the seagulls. So I was in New Zealand, right, and we were feeding seagulls. We were having a barbecue, and we were just feeding seagulls like bread and stuff. There's fucking loads of them. I think there was about 40, 50 seagulls just going mental for the bread. And we were chucking like cheese and stuff at them. They were loving it. And then one of the people in our group chucked a pebble into the crowd of seagulls, and they all flew off apart from one, and it was just on the floor, fucked up. There was blood coming out of its nose, out its mouth. It was dead. No, it was dead. And it made me realise how delicate fucking birds were. And all the other birds knew as well. They didn't come back for the bread anymore. They knew. They could smell the death. They all like stood on the branches and the wires and the telegraph poles around us, squawking like mad. It was like someone out of a horror film after that. I was like, you fucking idiot, what you done? All the birds are looking at us, fucking shouting. But yeah, and another thing that made me realise how delicate fucking birds were is I used to work on an egg farm, right? And all the eggs come through on this little conveyor belt, and then you pack them onto the little cardboard trays, and you stack them away. But what you do is one of your jobs in the morning is that, or not all the chickens lay their eggs where they're meant to. They don't lay them where they're meant to. Some of them just lay them out in the yard. Free range chickens, right? Which is another big con. They say free range on your eggs. They're not. Free range means they've got access to fields and stuff like that, which these chickens did. But what they do is they keep all the water and the food is inside. So the chickens, they've got access to outside, but they don't go out there. 99% of them stay in. You only see one or two knocking about outside, pecking around for bugs and stuff. The vast majority stay inside because that's where their food and drink is. So that's a big con as well. But anyway, I had to walk around all these chickens looking for eggs because sometimes they just lay them out in like the yard and stuff in the area where they're all congregated. And when they're all cooped up together, some of them get this horrible fucking thing happen to them where they get a sore ass because, don't forget, chickens piss, shit and lay eggs all out of the same hole. So sometimes they get a sore ass. And then when the other chickens see a sore ass, sometimes they go pecking at it. They go pecking at each other's asses. And some of the unlucky ones, their asses are being pecked out that much that they've started to get into their fucking ass. And then they're running around stressed out, which is making the other chickens even more like drawn to like, oh, what's going on here? And then you get like, they're getting chased around by several chickens all pecking out their ass. And before long, their like intestines and shit are all like coming out their ass. And all the chickens are going, like eating it, like eating their innards that are getting pecked out. Anyway, I was walking around collecting eggs and I was seeing this happening to one of these poor fucking birds who's half dead, sort of like struggling around with a load of chickens pecking out its insides from its ass out. And I was like, I can't leave this chicken in this state. So I picked it up and I was like, right, I've seen my dad kill chickens in the past. And you're meant to like pull their head and twist. So I did that and its head just come off in my hand. I was like, oh, fuck. I was just left with this chicken with its arsehole hanging out and a fucking head in the other hand. It was horrible. But it just made me realise again that they are quite delicate animals. So maybe that is where it come from. Maybe they did chuck sticks at chickens and take it home for dinner. Maybe there is some truth to it. But I think the coconut story makes more sense. But the interesting thing about the coconut origin of Aunt Sally is that so they had the pleasure fair down the road. They had the old coconut mill, and there's still a pub there today called the Coconut on Mill Street, and it's the only pub in the country to have that name, which is quite cool. And it just stands there, testament to the significance of the humble coconut, because they were quite useful back in the day. First of all, as an exotic fucking prize. And as well as that, they used to use the fibre, that like hairy stuff on the outside, the coconut fibre. It's called coir or core, or I don't know how to pronounce it, COIR. And they used to use it for all sorts. Even since, I think the earliest recorded use of it dates way back to like 500 fucking BC or some shit. They've used it for centuries for stuff like rope, fishing nets, mats, like paint brushes and things, because it's like a really absorbent material. So it's perfect for paintbrushes and things like that. It's always been a great resource. But nowadays, it's not really needed, which is a shame. Also, mites didn't like it. Fungus didn't like it. It had like antifungal properties. So it's perfect for making like mattresses and stuff like that. They loved it. Yeah, back in 500 BC, they were using it. Mental. They're using it for cups. They use like the shell for like cups in the 14th and 15th centuries. It's a bit sad, really, isn't it? The history of a coconut. Like in the last 100 years, the best thing it's had going for it is being won as an exotic prize. And it doesn't even have that anymore. You win a coconut and it's like my coconut. I've had it for about a week or so now. It's still just sat downstairs. Don't know what to do with it. It's just a bit sad that it had this great past. It used to have such great uses. And now it's just used for people chucking wooden balls at a shit fate in England. The rise and fall of the coconut. You know what I mean? Anyway, that will do for today, because I'm running out of time. I wanted to talk about Morris dancers, but I'm going to have to roll that on over to episode 5. So we'll look at that. I've got to do a little return to Cheeky Little Plunge as well. I didn't do one. And someone with a strange name as well. I need to do a return to that feature also. But I'm going to leave you today with an extract from a tune that I made about a year or so ago about Thatcher's Gold, a lovely cider available in the UK. So here it is. I'll see you next week. Yo, got the 4-pack pint cans, yo. I ain't gonna drink these ones slow. You could dream of the best cider. Thatcher's is the best and I'll find. I'm never gonna let a little gold drop drip. Condensation, give it a lick. Yesterday's dregs, yeah, give it a sip. Your Thatcher's Gold at the top of my list. Yeah, 1 pint. Oh, sorry, 2 pints of Thatcher's, please, mate. Oh, sorry, we only have Summersby. Oh, fuck this place. Thatcher's to the end. Killed a bit of time, didn't it? See you later.